all of the Easter eggs in the Black Ops 6 multiplayer beta. This is all of which I have managed to discover, but please let me know in the comments if you finished watching this video and you have discovered any that I haven't covered in this video, and I may be able to feature them in a future video. So this first Easter egg is absolutely wild, so much so that it's been removed from the game. Yes, that is right, it's not in a map itself, but it is actually on one of the calling cards or ex-calling cards. Now unfortunately I'm going to have to be very careful with my language because I cannot say what this is referencing specifically, but you can see George W. Bush Jr. right here on the left. The calling card is called Make History, and then on the right there is a very clear reference to something horrible. I absolutely cannot believe that this calling card made it into the game. Someone is definitely getting in a lot of trouble for this. I think that it's ended up in the game by an accident though. Call of Duty have started using generative AI in a lot of stuff like calling cards and bundles, and I feel like a developer created this calling card using generative AI. It obviously scanned the internet with lots of discussions regarding Bush being involved in this event, and it threw it into the image, and for some reason whoever did all of the checks before this made it up into the final release didn't do their due diligence and didn't notice this, which I guess just shows you how quickly a lot of this content is being rushed out. I guess theoretically it could have even been a rogue developer trying to sneak this in, but I doubt someone would risk their job to do this. And for those saying that this could be a spoiler for the campaign, this could be something that we see, Treyarch actually came out and said before that any references to this date that people were finding in the marketing material were purely coincidental and accidental, and the campaign's going to be entirely around 1991. It's not going to be in the early 2000s like we previously thought. They could, I guess, be lying, but I really don't think so. Apparently they were actually quite upset that people thought we were going to be getting a mission around this date. However, like I said, they have changed it, so now they've removed it. Bush is not even on the left at all, and there is no reference with the plane on the right. So either this person has been scolded a bunch, whoever did this, or they have probably been fired, because this is a very big mistake to make. Absolutely crazy. Like I said, I cannot believe this made it into the game, and if they continue to use AI in the future, we're gonna keep seeing more mistakes like this. So yeah, I don't even know if this can be regarded as an Easter egg because it was purely a mistake. Probably that is. Now let's get into the next Easter egg. So these can be found on the Protocol multiplayer map. Now, as you know, you can only access this map right now in the training ground. However, you can still explore the full map and discover Easter eggs. Now, Protocol as well as Skyline are actually taking place in Avalon, somewhere in Europe, which is going to be a brand new Warzone map developed by Treyarch. It was supposed to release next year, but we're instead getting Verdansk in spring 2025. We'll be seeing it with Call of Duty 2025's integration instead. And because of this, in the distance, you can see, of course, the map. To kind of give you an overview, now the map actually looks extremely huge, and there are many more multiplayer maps that we will be seeing on release and maybe more added into the beta as well that are set on Avalon as well, giving you a preview of this map. And it does seem aesthetically to be very similar to the original Blackout map or the cancelled Euro Mountains map, and it features a bunch of remakes and a bunch of multiplayer sections. There's a lot of water as well on the map, and it does seem really huge. And apparently this map's going to be coming to Outbreak as well for zombies in COD 2025. So yeah, both on Skyline as well as Protocol, you can see sections from Avalon in the distance to kind of get an overview of the map. And there's even a map on Protocol that shows a small section from Avalon. Unfortunately, we don't have the full map yet. We've just seen different sections from it, and this shows another section, but it seems a lot larger than meets the eye. Maybe the small sections could be released as Resurgence experiences. Anyways, that's not the main thing that I want to talk about on Protocol. This Easter egg is extremely cool. If you come over through this door, you will see that there's an interrogation room. There is a chair with a leather lock wrist on the side, as well as they are also hooked up to fluids to make sure they don't die, I guess, as well as a health monitor. And there's a bunch of different interrogation techniques that you can see around here. There's a box of pizza with one slice left. I guess the interrogator was eating that. There's some chairs that probably would be propped up in front of them when they were interrogating them. There's a shock therapy device that would electrocute the person's brain, as well as where they would be strapped to this wooden board. There is even a giant wardrobe that they get locked inside, and there are some chains strapped up to the wall where I guess the person would be chained up and whipped or hit, and there's some blood splatters there. Absolutely crazy. I can't believe the CIA would even do stuff like this. And you can see on the table as well, there's a radio, there's a car battery or something like that I guess they would electrocute the person with, and there's a load of different tools to, I guess, cut them up. Absolutely horrific. I cannot believe that different governments would, and some even still do things like this. Now obviously this is a reference to Black Ops 1 when Mason was interrogated and brainwashed, and it's It's also a reference to Black Ops Cold War, where Adler went underneath these same techniques, and then Mason had to undo his brainwashing. He was brainwashed by Perseus. Interesting enough, of course, Adler is being framed in the campaign by Pantheon, and he is wanted by the CIA, and I guess the fact he was brainwashed would be part of their evidence to try and make him out to be a traitor. Whether he is actually going to be good or bad is still yet to be determined. We're going to have to play the campaign, but this is one of the craziest Easter eggs. The final Easter egg that I've noticed on a protocol is there is a room that actually has a pool table on, and if you shoot the pool table without fail every single time, no matter how you shoot it, all of the balls will go into all of the holes. So if you happen to do this in your game, you didn't get lucky. This happens every single time. In the room as well, there's some spare balls held up here, and you can shoot them all down. Maybe there's some sort of Easter egg regarding this as well, but I don't think so. And yeah, you can find some environmental things around the room where I guess this pool club would hang out. You can see some logos of the Naval Special Operations, Ops Team 6, so I guess maybe this was a CIA pool club. Like I said before, Avalon's in Europe, so why were they here? I'm not exactly sure. So that's everything on Protocol. Now moving on to the other multiplayer map, Skyline. Again, this one is set on Avalon as well, and it actually has the exact same Easter egg with the pool table. There's a pool table here you can shoot, and just like before, all of the balls will go in when you shoot it, no matter what. And once again, there's some balls as well you can shoot that are held up on this shelf. Now, this isn't really an Easter egg, and everyone probably knows this, that there is, of course, a secret passage that you can make, as well as a lockdown sequence that you can activate on the map. This isn't really an Easter egg because it's basically a gameplay feature, but it's cool that Treyarch are adding dynamic elements like this on their multiplayer maps. Apparently things like this will be on a lot of the other maps as well that we see on launch, and of course, because this is a section in the Warzone experience, this is going to be something we see on launch. There is also a dead guy here, so I guess would he be the person that would camp out in this lockdown spot? And he got killed when this map began, and I guess what caused the people to start fighting against each other, I'm not sure. And the funny thing about this is that you can actually lure people into the door and shut it on them, and it'll kill them. It's pretty hilarious indeed. Now, speaking of this secret passage, this is an actual Easter egg. There is a secret RCXD passage spot to get a flank position. Of course, there would be one on Nuketown, and I assume since Nuketown will be back in this game, there's going to be one again. And it's cool that Treyarch are adding different secret passages like this as well. I'm sure there's going to be some on some of the other multiplayer maps as well. Now, a few other things I've discovered on Skyline. There are a bunch of paintings, and I think most of these aren't really references to much, but there is one that shows a forest, and it's probably just a forest. However, this could theoretically potentially be a reference to the Frozen Forest from Black Ops 3's campaign. Probably one of the most critiqued campaigns of all time in Call of Duty. It was very convoluted and confusing. However, it does have a very interesting setup. I just think it wasn't really executed well and does have a lot of mind-bending twists. I guess this could be a reference to the DNI systems.
Imagine yourself in a frozen forest.
Now, there's some other different paintings that I've discovered, and one actually shows some sort of cult around a fire, and they're all chanting and praying or something like that. I wonder if this could even be a reference to the Societe cult from Vanguard Zombies. They've been around since the medieval times, worshipping Dark Ether gods. They scattered the tome pages in Vanguard. We've speculated before they may have even been involved with Richtofen, working with him or for or against him for Project Janus, I'm not sure. But I wonder if this could literally be an image of the Societe cult, especially because Avalon will be coming to zombies in Outbreak. Like I was saying, maybe there can be zombies Easter eggs on here. And speaking of Richtofen, there is then another painting close by, which shows a little cabin in the woods. I don't know if this is actually the case, but I wonder if this could have even been Richtofen's house, because in the Forsaken ending cutscene, there is a little cabin in the woods at the end of a trail, and I'm wondering if that could even be the case. I assume he lives somewhere in West Virginia close to Liberty Falls, judging by his flashback dream in the Liberty Falls intro cutscene. So this could have been his house itself that Weaver then burnt down when he tried to assassinate Richtofen prior to the events of Cold War Zombies. We're unsure why he did that, but he was given the intel by Samantha Maxis. When he failed to assassinate him to try and cover his tracks, he then burnt down the house, accidentally killing his wife and son. He didn't know they were in the house when he burnt it down. He thought they were elsewhere. I wonder if this could be a reference to that. And we do know that Richtofen's son Samuel somehow now is an ethereal orb in the Dark Ether, a dangerous orb. We don't know how he ended up in the Dark Ether though, so I'm wondering if this could even connect connect to the other image where we see this cult around the fire, maybe they did something with dark ether magic afterwards to send him into the dark ether after he perished, which is why he's now an ethereal orb bonded with Mr. Peaks. But again, this is wild speculation here. I have no idea. This could be completely unrelated to zombies at all. But Richtofen was involved with the Illuminati in the original storyline, so maybe he had contact with the Societe cult again in this new story. Maybe after his family perished, he tried to get them to do some sort of dark ether magic. So that's everything I've managed to discover on Skyline. Now moving over to the next multiplayer map, Rewind. Now I think this map is important because it is taking place in Liberty Falls, the same as the zombies map. However, it's not set in the town itself that we see in the zombies experiences, whilst aesthetically they are very similar, and that's a big complaint of Liberty Falls. The community is in uproar right now because they think that the map has no atmosphere and just looks like a multiplayer experience. The multiplayer experience looks very similar, but the multiplayer experience is set on the outskirts of Liberty Falls in a small little district, I guess, where there is the Rewind Mall, hence the name. And just for people who are confused, Liberty Falls is not reusing assets from multiplayer, it's actually the other way around. The zombies map was concepted in Intel and Cold War Zombies literally 4 years ago. They've been wanting to do this map for a while, so most likely the zombies map went into development and then they decided to make a multiplayer map inspired by it and not the other way around. Although I definitely still agree that the map looks way too multiplayer-ified and it should definitely look way more like zombies, which is definitely unfortunate. Now an interesting Easter egg on the Rewind map is we know the data is set. Now we know that Liberty Falls and Terminus are taking place simultaneously on February 18th, 1991, but the multiplayer experience is taking place just a few months after on February 15th, 1991, which means that we are successful in closing the zombie outbreak down and the CIA then cover it up afterwards, allowing the multiplayer map to take place. However, I think that potentially the entirety of Black Ops 6 Zombies may take place in just a few months, because I think we're going to be seeing more Liberty Falls maps in the future, as in the files of the game, there's two maps that have been found, one called Janus Towers that I think is the towers outside of Liberty Falls that we see in the distance, and then there's another one, Mansion, which I have to assume is Richtofen's mansion that we see in the intro cutscene for the map. So I think that maybe the entire story will be closed out and finished within a few months, which is definitely possible to be done if we are going to be getting multiple maps in the same area. It's much easier to contain that story within a very set time frame. So it's interesting that the multiplayer map just takes place a few months later. As to why people are now fighting here, it could be that maybe some of the civilians even found out about the zombie stuff and then they're against the CIA and a little fight ensues there. But we know that Liberty Falls is basically a secret government town for Project Janus that Richtofen is working on. They've even armed the place with secret robots to defend the town if there was to ever be an outbreak, with even like a fake story of a superhero, which I assume Etherella is probably a fake version of Samantha Maxis, a fake superhero thing for a comic book. So I guess if people were to discover about the zombies, they just say, oh, you're crazy, this is a conspiracy, a kid's story. But on Rewind as well, there are some CIA computers as well as radios and stuff like that, so clearly they've been operating in secret throughout the town, not just in the zombies bit, but in this multiplayer area as well. And there is a billboard as well that you can see where it says welcome to Liberty Falls, and you can see the zombies map specifically. I don't think this is really an Easter egg because it is literally set here. There are of course police cars all over as well as Liberty Falls SWAT units, so most likely this is because after the zombies outbreak is contained, they send in all of these police units to try and contain the area, question people who were actually civilians that managed to survive the outbreak, and they're trying to cover up everything. That's probably why they're all here. And a really strange, what I have to assume is a zombies reference on Rewind has been found as well by Ace, who sent me this on Twitter whilst I was editing this video. There is a note that can be found on this computer that says Sam with a number saying 608-0329 emergency only. So this has to be a reference to Samantha Maxis on Liberty Falls that I assume is an AI version of her, maybe controlling Richtofen's mainframes and protocols. But what exactly does this message mean? I don't think the number itself is a reference to anything. Is this who to call when a zombie outbreak happens? Maybe this is specifically for Janus operatives that are living and working within the town. If an outbreak is ever ensuing, they call this number and it's supposed to call in help or rescue, or maybe Samantha Maxis help. I've speculated that Etherella could even be based on Samantha Maxis, and maybe the government have created this fake comic that's based on Samantha, so if people were to ever find out about zombies, they say, you're crazy, this is stuff in comic books. I don't know what this reference is. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. We know there are SAM trials in the game to give us rewards for doing challenges. I wonder if this number could even be to call in the SAM trial that we know phases in and out of reality, and if an outbreak ever ensues, you call this number, the people then have something to help them out. Now, I've been trying to look on the outskirts of this map, or just in the map itself, to try and see if there's any zombies references. I haven't really been able to find find much, unfortunately, but I'm sure there's probably going to be some, so please let me know if you happen to find any. There are a few Easter eggs here, though, that are really cool. The first one is a Breaking Bad Easter egg, as there is actually an RV here that shows the bullet holes that have been taped up, which is a reference to the very first episode, the pilot. Crazy 8 and Emilio then attack them, so Walt cooks up a secret recipe to cause an explosion and poison them, with red phosphorus escaping, locking the door. As Emilio is perishing, in panic, he tries to shoot his way out, causing the bullet holes, 5 holes to be specific, of which Jesse then later covers the holes with tape, never amending this. Now, this Easter egg I'm sure you've seen before because it's not actually original to Black Ops 6. This is a reused asset from Modern Warfare 2 of all things. So this was created by Infinity Ward. This RV was originally created for Santa Cena Border Crossing, the very controversial map that was also in the Warzone experience. So that's where this original Easter egg is from. I would love to see a Breaking Bad crossover event with Call of Duty at some point in time because there were many references to it in Modern Warfare 2's campaign. So the developers are clearly big fans and it's perfectly fitting to do a crossover, I would think, but considering they're not actively making shows and the prequel Better Call Saul is finished with as well, it may not make as much financial sense for that crossover unless they come up with another spin-off in the future. The other Easter egg on Rewind is a bit of an environmental thing. There are many different cash machines and if you shoot them, they will start raining money. Start stripping, do whatever you want, you are rich. There are many of them on this map and I assume this is probably going to be on some of the other maps as well in the game, either in the beta or on launch, as well as maybe in the campaign. And there's also cache machines as well that you can shoot and they will cause money to fling out. And there is a small zombies Easter egg on the Strike map Gala, because you can actually hear the Easter egg song from Shadows of Evil, Snakeskin Boots on a Saturday night, playing in the background. This actually used to be my intro music as well, so it's very nostalgic.
We'll never surrender. Snakeskin boots on a Saturday night.
The final, I guess, Easter egg reference could be on the Derelict multiplayer map. Now, this is taking place in West Virginia, as Liberty Falls and Rewind are, of course, similarly taking place in West Virginia. And, of course, it's an old derelict place where they've got a load of old machinery and metal lying about. Now, we know in 1985, Richtofen was moving a load of metal into Liberty Falls itself to probably build his underground tunnels, to build his underground lab where the elevator goes down, where there's the giant containment chamber, to probably upgrade this giant containment chamber. Maybe the metal was also used for these factories that we see in the distance, and I'm wondering if this stuff could have been manufactured on Derelict itself. Maybe at the time it wasn't Derelict, but after he was done with that, it ended up going Derelict afterwards. Or this map has absolutely nothing to do with the zombies as well. I was just interested in a potential connection considering it's taken place not too far away from Liberty Falls, but maybe it has no relevance at all. They're all of the Easter eggs that I have managed to discover though. Like I said, let me know in the comments below if you have managed to find absolutely anything that I haven't covered in this video, and I may cover them in the future. With that being said, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.